Thank you very much for staying and welcome back to the program. Now, players in the housing sector would be expecting the NPP government to reduce the cost of doing business. Ghana's housing deficit is expected to cross the 2 million mark next year. High taxes, access to funds, and land acquisition remain some key challenges which need to be fixed. Despite calls for government intervention, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, GREDA, Samuel Amegaibo, says the situation will continue if there is no combative approach.
I believe housing is something that, so far as human beings continue to live on this earth and family contract marriages and children are born out of it, it automatically sets out the base of the human race that we will be multiplying. And as we are multiplying, the issue of housing will continue to confront us every day. And so we need to institute some schemes. What is happening today is that private sector is managing what they can, but the state is doing contracts, giving contract to people to provide housing. And I believe that is not the best approach at the moment. We need housing schemes that will be revolving in terms of the financing, that will be sustainable and will be long-lasting for all of us. And the scheme I'm talking about is some cycle of, say, home finance companies, developers getting access to some very cheap funding with very low interest rates, maybe purposely for affordable housing project, and then a home mortgage company available to provide mortgage for the class of people that we are looking at, especially the the public sector, whose income we know are not exactly too good. And then even the private sector who are equally struggling also to have very good salaries and all that. So that these mortgage schemes will be able to provide mortgage that are affordable to them, looking at their income. And then they will be able to pay the developers for whatever houses they're able to put on the market. Because we have a scheme, obviously, we will look at something like designs that are not elaborate, that provide the basic need for human habitation. And then certain incentives from government, like providing the infrastructure that is required. At the moment, most of the developers are providing their own roads, sending water and electricity to site. And these things are very expensive. If we do our tabulations now, it suggests that the cost of our houses is about 30%, of infrastructure alone. And then access to funding. We've been drumming this several, like you said, we've done this several years, we still do it, and we don't seem to be getting any solution.
Moving on, President of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Nana Appiagyei Dankwa-Woso I, has reiterated his call for a widening of the tax net to boost economic competitiveness. Speaking in an interview with Joy Business on the Chamber's expectations of the incoming administration, he also emphasized a reduction in interest rates to 18% in the short term to enhance competitiveness in business come 2017. Here's more in this report by Charles Aiti.
The Ghana Chamber of Commerce predicts a gloomy economic future for businesses in Ghana should the incoming government fail to address key issues related to high interest rates and unbearable taxes. President of the Chamber, Nana Dr. Appiagyei Dankwa-Woso I, fears businesses could fold up and capital eroded should the next administration fail to tackle the issue of Ghana's expensive tax regime.
Most of the industries in this country import raw materials. Those that are not even imported, it's difficult to come by. And so if there's reduction of taxes on imports, it also brings down cost of production. And in the long run, the prices of goods and services will also come down. So I think it will have effect on the economy as well.
The central bank recently increased interest rates to 30 and 35%, but Nana Dr. Appiagyei Dankwa-Woso I says businesses look forward to the next administration decreasing interest rates to 18%.
As business people, we expect that, interest rates will come down. When interest rates is up, a lot of people use their monies for treasury bills, government bonds and all that. And you see people fold up their companies, get their monies and put it to treasury bill. And that will shrink the industry. So for us, I think that if the government had brought down interest rates, now it's hovering around between 30 and 36. If it had come down, a lot of people would have used their money to expand their businesses and for them to also employ more people. So on the interest rate, if it to come down to about 18% or even less, we will appreciate that.
Meanwhile, the chamber has congratulated all political stakeholders for ensuring an enabling environment for business to thrive by ensuring peace in the just-ended general elections. The chamber is further calling on President-elect Nana Addo to engage the private sector for Ghana's economic development.
Now, year-on-year inflation for the month of November has dropped to 15.5%, down from 15.8% recorded in October. Now, the Deputy Government Statistician, Dr. Ba Wadie, announced this at a press conference here in Accra.
November 2016, the year-on-year inflation rate was 15.5%, as compared with 15.8% recorded in October 2016. The monthly change rate in November 2016 was 0.8%, while that for October 2016 was 1.6%. The year-on-year non-food inflation rate for November 2016 was 18.7%, compared with 19.4% recorded in October 2016. Now, the year-on-year food inflation rate for November 2016 was 9.3%, compared with 8.7% recorded in October 2016. In the year-on-year non-food inflation rate stood at 18.7%, and this is more than 2 times that of the food inflation rate, that is 9.3%. Again, in November 2016, the year-on-year inflation rate in imported items was 16.2%, and this is 1.0 percentage point higher than that of locally produced items, which is 15.2%. The main price drivers for the non-food inflation rate were transport, 27.8%, education, 25.7%, recreation and culture, 21.0%, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, 20.3%. Then furnishings, household equipment, and routine maintenance, 20.3%, and health, 20.0%. Now, the price drivers for the food inflation rate were mineral water, soft drinks, fruit and vegetable juices, 14.1%, coffee, tea, and cocoa, 14.0%, fish and seafood, 13.4%, meat and meat products, 13.3%, sugar, jam, honey, chocolate, and confectionery, with an inflation rate of 15.5%.
All right, welcome back to the marketplace, and we're still on inflation. Correspondent Ebenezer Sabote was at the press conference this afternoon where the current inflation rate for the month of November was announced, and he's right here with me. He's going to tell us some more details about the conference. Ebenezer, you're welcome. Now,
thank you.
What were the key drivers to this particular, downward trend of inflation, which was recorded for the month of November?
Okay, according to the government statistician, Dr. Wadie, the key drivers were transportation, education, and recreation. If you could recall, in the month of November, there was some reduction in fuel prices. According to him, this has attributed to the drop in the inflation. Not only that, but speculations about when we were going to the election, there were some speculations, but the general public was assured that the election was going to be peaceful and everything was going to be conducted smoothly.
All right, so you're referring to the uncertainty surrounding the period right before
so there was
the election.
A reduction in uncertainty.
Now, these reduction in fuel prices or transport prices that you're talking about, they were marginal. I mean, so could they have, fueled this particular
That's the key word
trend
here, marginal. So if you could watch carefully, the reduction in the inflation is also marginal. We asked the statistician that it seems there's nothing moving, and it's like, no, it's moving. But the issue here is it's like you are driving on a motorway of 100 kilometers per hour, and you've reduced it to 90. It is still in speed, but just that it's reduced.
Has come down
so there's a marginal reduction in the rate.
So what's the impact of this current reduction on the economy?
Okay, the impact is this. It is going to influence the rate at which banks charge policy rate. If you could recall again, when the MPC was announcing the monetary policy rate, they made some attributions to inflation, that due to the reduction in inflation, it has become necessary for them to reduce the policy rate. So this is also likely to account for some of these things, that whenever you are going into the market to buy something, when a business person is going to the bank to take loan, it is likely to have an effect on some of these businesses.
Did you get a hint that come next month inflation, for the month of December, we're going to witness a drop or an increase?
From my own perspective, I'll say yes, but when I push it to him, he wasn't ready to tell me, because according to him, they report what the numbers tell them. And for him, we should let the market forces determines what will happen next month.
All right, thank you very much, Ebenezer, for that update. Ebenezer Sabute is our correspondent. He was at the press conference held this afternoon to declare the new inflation rate, which has dropped from 15.8% to 15.5%. Now, moving on the marketplace, HFC Bank is to take a critical look at local content financing in the oil and gas industry for its operations in 2017. This, according to the managing director of the company, Robert Lehant, is part of measures by the bank to complement the focus of the parent bank in Trinidad and Tobago. He spoke to Joy Business in Accra during the opening of the bank's second branch on the University of Ghana campus. There's more in this report.
Trinidad and Tobago is well noted for its long-term development of oil and gas. According to the managing director of HFC Bank, Robert Lehant, the oil and gas sector also plays a significant role in the growth of the country's economy, and therefore the decision to strengthen local enterprises within the sector. He said the bank will initiate measures to finance SMEs to take advantage of the growing oil and gas sector in the country.
Going next year, you have seen us gotten a lot more involved, leveraging on the strengths that we have had from our partners out of Trinidad in the oil and gas financing space. We think coming out and leveraging on that support out of Trinidad and Tobago, as you know, is an oil producing country. We feel that we could make a big difference in that local content financing for oil and gas industry and in developing that sector. So we think our future is bright. Our financial results over the past 2 years doesn't reflect that, but we think that will change in 2017.
Mr. Lehant says the opening of the bank's branch on the University of Ghana campus is a strategy by the bank to reach out to all customers.
The university serves a very diverse group of different constituents, if I could steal a word from the election campaign. And therefore, we recognize that we needed to, this is HFC's solution to dealing with these different constituents. So our Legon branch, we are one of the first banks that have been here on campus. Our Legon branch is one of our more successful branches, and it serves a number of people in Legon and in the surrounding areas. And therefore, we didn't want to disturb that. We also think that there is a very discerning constituents made up of students and professors. All right, and we therefore felt that this branch will be suited and is really structured and caters for that particular group.
The new branch is equipped with internet and automated services to serve the modern banking needs of customers.
Now, depositors of DKM Microfinance Company with outstanding claims can from Wednesday check their respective designated locations about the second round of payments scheduled to start next Monday, December 19. This is coming after the official liquidator extended the period for the first round of payments by some days. There's more in this report.
The official liquidator is to release a new list of verified claims later on Wednesday for onward payment next week. This also follows the completion of the manual validation of the claims by the contracted firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. Jones Ansah is the special aide to the official liquidator.
The manual validation means that the PwC, the PricewaterhouseCoopers, need to go through the claims that we collected from depositors one by one, not from the system. Then they have to pick one and go to it. Pick one and go to it. And this was done in collaboration with the DKM staff themselves. Probably when PwC pick a form, they say that, excuse me, for example, Yao Mensah says DKM owns him 100,000 cedis. So the DKM staff will say, okay, fine, it is true, he deposited 1 million, but from our records, Yao Mensah has been paid 20,000. So it is not 80,000, it is not 100,000, but 80,000. That is the manual validation. That is what it means.
The depositors are to receive their claims at 8 GCB branches designated as recipient banks in Brong-Ahafo, Upper East and Upper West regions. Mr. Ansah gave further details about the second round of payments.
The second round is meant for those that they didn't see their names at all, those that they were paid 10 cedis, 20 cedis, and even those that they were supposed to have top-ups. After the manual validation, we found out that these are the people that these are the people that DKM owns. These are the money that DKM owns them. After doing the reconciliation with PwC doing reconciliation with the first phase of payment, so that okay, these are the people that we have to pay. We have to do top-up for them after being paid 10 cedis and 20 cedis. You go there, you find your name and the bank that you're supposed to go for your money, and the date will be at the tail end of your name.
According to the official liquidator, the second round of payments was rescheduled to Monday, 19th December, because of logistical challenges.
Now, graduate unemployment remains a huge challenge for the country. Not only are there few jobs, most organizations are also slow to take on most of these graduates because of what they deem lack of experience. In their bid to help address the problem, two young men have set up what they call the Africa Internship Academy with the aim of grooming job seekers and job makers alike. The co-founders, Emmanuel Leslie Adair and Daniel Entry, will later this evening be on the Joy Business Van on Business Live, sharing more about their passion and the impact they hope to make. Let's have a teaser.
Business Van is headed today.
I always use my case as an example that when I was my third year at the university, our internship was a part of the requirement that you need to do before you graduate. I searched, I didn't find a place for internship. So what I did was I sent my form to my senior brother to complete it for me. And the school never asked me, where did you do an internship? All what they were looking for is the form completed. And I did that for them. So after university, I thought I've done good. After university, I realized I don't have any experience. So I spent even 6 months to a year to do internship before getting a full-time job. So with all these problems, we realized, no, how can we help the younger ones who are coming to this space? Why don't we create an academy where people can come and do internships?
Through internally generated funds, the two who formerly ran a software company called ProMobile GH got the academy running, enrolling about 50 interns.
You should just get that environment, or you should get that feeling you are working in a Vodafone or a Jumia or a Tigo or a Microsoft or a HP. That is the kind of atmosphere we have created here. And so it's a workspace kind of ambience. You come here excited because you know you are coming to work. And for the kind of thing that happens here, so they are into projects and they are into teams. And facilitators try to build models for them. And these models are models that are needed in any organization in any day.
Well, today, Amin Sule, co-founder of the startup Zarko, is passing through the academy.
So you make a date at 5 p.m. on Business Live, of course, for the full story. It's still on Marketplace. You're taking a short break here. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, the Economic Intelligence Unit, EIU, has always been known for predicting the outcome of elections. The unit, for instance, in this report released a day before the December polls, predicted a win for Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So what has the UK-based intelligence unit been saying about the economy, especially for next year? George Biafe has more.
The EIU in its report is predicting some exciting times for the economy in 2017, just like what has been said by the IMF and the World Bank. The unit, for instance, is forecasting a 7% economic growth rate for Ghana, inflation slowing down to 11.5% in 2017. Reduction in the public debt, current account deficit will also reduce significantly, and pickup in price of crude oil, which will impact positively on the government's revenue. The current challenges facing the Ghana cedi will still persist, but the unit says it will firmly stabilize later on and ending the year at a little over 4 Ghana cedis. However, despite these exciting predictions, the EIU says there will be some serious challenges for the incoming government before things stabilize. The unit in this report, for instance, says there is the likelihood the new administration might have some challenges in meeting targets under the IMF program in the first quarter of 2017 as they try to settle in, a development that could initially affect Ghana's relationship with the IMF. It says the current border dispute with Ivory Coast will still persist, adding that the relations could remain frosty going forward. The EIU is warning of some challenges for Ghana when it comes to its relationship with Nigeria because of its decision to sign the full economic partnership agreement. The EIU is also warning that the incoming government will face some serious challenges or tight financing situation, with public employment cuts, slow wage growth, privatization, all key on the agenda.
All right, so we'll bring you the expectations of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, on the new government with regards to removal of taxes and also VAT and other issues concerning the association. And that will be it for this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a great afternoon.